YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. If you haven't heard, there's a lot of talk about a country music singer by the name of Zac Brown and the Zac Brown Band performing a satanic ritual at the Sphere. And of course, when these stories go viral, it's important to look at the signs and symbols that surround these individuals, because everybody in the music business is compromised. Everybody in the entertainment industry who you know, who is a household name or has somewhat of fame or is performing at places like Madison Square Garden or the Sphere, is connected directly to the occult. You don't become famous unless you're in the club, which means you're initiated in secret societies like Freemasonry and the Eastern Star. You do not organically get there. I know there's a lot of Christians out there who pretend that they're not of this world, but still attach themselves to this world. So they believe that when we see people like Lady Gaga, who are openly Satanists, or we see people like Madonna, where you could point at them and say, they worship the devil. They like to think, well, those people do it, but the ones that I like don't. Ones like Taylor Swift, or specifically what we've seen, with the rise of the country music industry and Christianity lumped into it. It's extremely cringy, and most Christians listen to country music these days or more folk type of music because they look at the entertainment industry as satanic. But what they don't realize is that music itself is a form of spellcrafting and witchcraft, and it has been for a long period of time. And you don't become famous unless you're actually performing witchcraft on the masses. So the stories out there of headlines like this: "This is worshiping Satan. Country music superstar horrifies shock fans with demon ritual at Las Vegas shows. Amused metalheads suggest further listening for next steps into hell." And they've used the Sphere before. I've covered the Sphere. That's that big, giant dome, which is using frequencies at another level, along with hypnotism and mind control. I covered the bands that have been playing there. Obviously, I covered Anima, who had a gigantic transhumanist ritual there. U2 specifically, one of the ones in the very beginning. The video's available on the website. Of course, you can see Bono doing the all-seeing eye symbolism. They were doing jump cuts on the audience where they were flashing images so fast you couldn't pick up what they were flashing before their eyes, but this is a form of mind control. And some of the things caught getting flashed in front of the audience were things like the 666 numerology, Antichrist, free pizza, right? So those are things that U2 and Bono were doing. But we have the Church of Satan, and we have all these Satanists coming out mocking Christians because Christians looked at some of the visuals in Zac Brown's concert and said that they were satanic. And the Church of Satan and everybody else has come out making fun of Christians, saying, oh, it's nothing more than just some Halloween imagery. It's some skeletons and things like that. Christians are out of control. They're overreacting. Here's a couple of clips from the concert that people recorded on their phones that have gone viral.
Late from the Father, trying to cool his down. Like the king, got no peace, his work is never done. Nightfall, smoke from the Father, trying to close his ears. Oh, I bless in the Jesus, drown you for your sins.
So you can see, obviously, it's a depiction of hell. It's a depiction of, a demonic entity, a skeleton. Yeah, I can understand why people would look at that and they'd say, well, it's overreacting. It's so different than seeing a skeleton in somebody's lawn during Halloween season, etc. But what needs to be looked at here is exactly what was being shown. Because Zac Brown, even though he doesn't admit to being a Christian band, a lot of Christians listen to Zac Brown and like to defend Zac Brown. Even though Zac Brown has been out in the open wearing shirts like Hawks 316, everything, the basketball team, the Hawks, but obviously mocking scripture, which they love to do, where they have, their own quotes like Austin 316, Hawks 316, mocking John 316, of course. And what this concert was at the Sphere, at least according to Zac Brown himself, was him showing you his life through his tattoos on his body and then being depicted inside of the Sphere. This is him saying it out of his own mouth.
There's a lot of imagery that I'm pulling from my tattoos at the Sphere. So we're playing the Sphere December 5th. Tickets go on sale July 25th. I get to really tell my story of my childhood and where I came from and my love for music and what it got me through. So that's something I'm so incredibly excited about. And the level that we're executing this show and the content, I don't think anyone's going to expect. My goal is to set a new bar for what's possible in that building.
So by him telling you that, we know that this isn't just some random thing where he said, I'm going to go to the Sphere. I'd love to just put all these random images on the screen to make everybody go, ooh and ah, and to entertain them. It had symbolism to him, and it had meaning and significance to him. So when the Church of Satan comes out, and they go, no, it's not demonic. No, it's just a Halloween show. Well, Zac Brown himself is saying that everything you saw at my concert is a depiction of me. And all this stuff is obviously bloodletted on his body, of course. We know most Christians pick and choose which Bible verses they want to believe, which ones they don't. And then they judge others based on ones that they follow versus ones that others don't. Obviously, we're all sinners. We all fall short. But of course, most people don't understand that bloodletting is actually forbidden. Tattooing is forbidden in Scripture. Most of these people, especially in the MAGA crowd, are all tattooed up. So they ignore that, of course, conveniently, and focus on things that they could point a finger at with other Christians, which has really become the problem in current day Christianity. But let's start here with some of the bloodletted tattoos on Zac Brown's body, because it's important to note, because these people are constantly covered in satanic occult symbolism. So here he is talking about his obsession with Moloch.
I love owls. I have several of them on me. I love owls. I love owls.
So he has an obsession with owls, right? And we're supposed to believe that all these celebrities like Drake, they all have an obsession with owls, just like, as you'll see eventually, you have an obsession with butterflies, right? These are all occult symbols, and they get away with this stuff because the public is so dumbed down that they could literally spend all this time on an album and then call it owl and then have owls tattooed all over their body and just say, well, when I'm out in nature, I see an owl and I just get so excited. I want to tattoo it all over myself, right? Right? Is that what you guys do? You go out in the woods, you hear an owl hooting, you're like, you know what? I want to get it tattooed right on my butt, on my left butt cheek. And on my right butt cheek, I'm going to get a snake, a serpent, because I like snakes too. I mean, there's no logical sense to these people and the actual stuff that they do and the symbols that they surround themselves with, other than, of course, the symbols and the connection to the occult. So most people should know that the owl represents the hidden wisdom, and the occult obviously has an obsession with the owl and the hidden wisdom. In Freemasonry, you'll see it as well, represented as watchfulness and wisdom. And we all know the owl can be found at the Bohemian Grove, right? The owl, of course, is a representation of Moloch. Now, we know that Moloch is depicted as a idol in Leviticus chapter 18, verse 21, and 2 Kings chapter 23, verse 10, and Jeremiah chapter 32, verse 35, where it's described this statue of Moloch being a symbol for child sacrifice. And again, everybody has seen the statue of Moloch, the gigantic owl, at Bohemian Grove. We could also look at some other things tattooed on his body and scratch our heads. I mean, he has a tattoo of Teddy Roosevelt on his body.
And then I want to end up somewhere between Bob Marley and Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy's just inspiring. I love art, so getting to choose the art that I get to carry around with me is kind of your tattoo.
Right, and of course that's supposed to just mean something random, that he's a huge fan of Teddy Roosevelt, right? He wasn't even alive when Teddy Roosevelt was the president, but he's a fan of him, and he's a fan of famous quotes like "man in the arena." And of course, Teddy Roosevelt is most known for not just being a president, but most known for being a master mason. Yes, Theodore Roosevelt was a master mason. Most of these celebrities who have connections with Freemasonry and the occult, they often like to quote past presidents who were Freemasons to make themselves sound patriotic. But presidents like Theodore Roosevelt and presidents like Harry Truman were as guilty as any president before them or after of treason, because they all took an oath to the Brotherhood, just like all these celebrities do. They take a vow and an oath to their secret societies that they're a part of, and they look up to and admire one another. He's not admiring Theodore Roosevelt because Theodore Roosevelt made a great speech, so he decided to get it tattooed on his arm. It's obviously a Masonic tribute to Theodore Roosevelt. We see Zach also on magazine covers doing the hand on his chin. This is a very prominent symbol and sign in Freemasonry, where these guys go on magazine covers and they put their hand on their chin. We've seen Michael Richards do it even on the cover of Scottish Rite magazine. He's a self-admitted Freemason. We see guys like Johnny Depp constantly doing. They're not thinking, ladies and gentlemen. They're not pondering anything, okay? This is the hand on the chin symbol, and it specifically represents the sign of silence and the due guard of a master mason. And as most symbols in the occult and Freemasonry represent, they represent a sign of knowledge and a sign of secrecy. What else do we see with Zach Brown? Well, Zach Brown's got a new album out that he's promoting, and of course, he's got a song called Butterfly. Isn't that crazy? Butterfly. Zach Brown, Butterfly. Owl, Butterfly. What is this obsession with butterflies? He's actually in the song performing with Satanist Dolly Parton. That's right, I've broken down Dolly Parton many times before. Videos available on the website. Dolly Parton loves butterflies too. Here she is posing in front of a butterfly. Here's Dolly Parton with the butterfly covering her eye, doing the all-seeing eye symbolism right in front of your face. And she's the godmother to Satanist Miley Cyrus, the virus, right? And here's Miley with the butterfly on Miley's nose, just obsessed with butterflies. They go outside, they see owls, they want to get it tattooed on their butts. They see butterflies, what are they opening up? Butterfly ranches. They're obsessed with these signs and symbols which represent the occult. Miley Virus constantly performing with butterflies. Albums named after butterflies. Beyonce doing the all-seeing eye symbolism with the butterfly over her eye. Madonna doing the all-seeing eye symbolism with the monarch butterfly. Taylor Swift. We can go on and on. Every celebrity has this obsession with butterflies. So you can find every single female musician. You'll find some connection to butterflies. Either have a song called Butterfly, an album called Butterfly, or they'll have butterflies tattooed on their bodies, or just have pictures of themselves in magazines covered in butterflies, right? Mariah Carey has Butterflies, a song. Lady Gaga always referencing the butterfly. Katy Perry's another one who has photos and magazine shoots covered in butterflies, performs dressed as a butterfly. You'd think of, as artists, these people would realize that they're copying one another and say, hey, I don't want to dress as a butterfly. I saw Mariah Carey's Butterfly album, so why would you have a song called Butterfly, Britney Spears? Or why would you have an album called Butterfly, Miley Cyrus? Wouldn't that be repetitive? That would be like me coming out with an album, or The Weeknd. How about The Weeknd coming out with an album called Thriller? Wouldn't somebody say, Thriller, he's copying Michael Jackson, right? But when it comes to these things, nobody seems to pick up on them. We've seen Billie Eilish doing, of course, the butterfly over the mouth, the hidden, forbidden knowledge covering the mouth with the monarch butterfly. Even males in the music industry have the butterfly symbolism all over them. If they don't have songs, they have tattoos, right? Here's Harry Styles, another MK Ultra puppet. Some of these guys even having it just over their face. The butterflies is a very common image that we see with celebrities with the butterfly. And again, the butterfly represents MK Ultra, okay? That's what the monarch butterfly represents. It's a form of trauma-based mind control in MK Ultra, where these people are programmed by handlers. They carry out social engineering on the masses. They always represent themselves with signs and symbols, and the butterflies go back a long time in Hollywood and pop culture history of seeing celebrities like Marilyn Monroe. I mean, I just named a bunch of them who use the monarch butterfly programming. Again, it is a form of trauma-based mind control. The butterfly is the programmable alter personality that emerges and can be triggered on command by their handlers. So these people all go through trauma-based mind control, and that's why you see guys like Zach Brown. Do you think this guy's supposed to be a macho guy? He's like, I want to have a song called Butterfly. Huh? There's about 9,000 songs called Butterfly, buddy. Be concerned that maybe somebody would say, it's not, what are you doing here? Right? I mean, they have tattoos about all this stuff. This repetitive pattern is what's supposed to help your mind wake up to the world around us and who these people really are, because they communicate through signs and symbols, and they don't expect any of us to actually notice. And when we do, and we call them out for it, usually they delete the videos or they call you a crazy conspiracy whack. But there's something about seeing the repetition in the pattern that helps wake up people's minds, which is why I've been very good at doing this for a long period of time. Other things we see again on the artwork, or in the artwork of Zach Brown, he has an album, The Man Who Loves You the Most. And you can see he had deliberately like a girl, looks like a little girl's hand, which is very creepy, with a adult arm. And what's on the arm? Well, there's 2 pentagrams on the arm. Now, you've been trained to think that that's a star, like the Dallas Cowboys, like stars you see in all these children's books. These are pentagrams. It's about the points in the star. You put them side by side, you can clearly see that a pentagram and a star are the same exact thing. The only thing missing are the lines through it. Guess what? The lines through it don't mean much. They don't mean much, okay? It's a 5-pointed pentagram. You'll see celebrities with these tattoos all over their bodies. Guys like Johnny Depp have tattoos of stars, Rihanna. Why do you think they're going to the effort to get this stuff tattooed on their bodies? Right? Guys getting owl tattoos all over him. I'm sure he has star tattoos somewhere on his body. He only shows a couple of his tattoos that he's covered in. I'm sure you can find some. They'll never point these things out, because if somebody was showing their tattoos, they'd just be like, oh, it's a star. What's the big deal, right? Rihanna's got on her back, on her ear. Okay, these are pentagrams. This is how they reveal themselves. The upside down pentagram, specifically on that cover for Zach Brown's album, representing the Baphomet. Okay, you think there's no coincidence that it's a young little girl's hand holding onto an adult's hand, and it says the man who loves you the most? I mean, there's satanic imagery so subtly in so many of these things that they do, but if you pay attention, you'll see these things. And again, the star is a pentagram. You've been indoctrinated to believe that it represents a star in the sky. And this even goes back to Aleister Crowley's teachings that every man and every woman is a star, which I have a video breakdown of, again, on the website, acallforanuprising.com. Some of the other imagery you'll see on him is this Day of the Dead type of imagery that often people, they should associate it with the occult, but they'll tell you it has something to do with tradition and has to do with, Catholicism and saints and etc.
And then Day of the Dead. All the Dia de los Muertos art.
But you can see one of his album covers. He has the Uncaged is the name of it, with, this Day of the Dead representation of the Madonna, which is what it's supposed to represent, right? And again, the cage is another theme of MK Ultra. Mind control, the caged bird. You see the bird cage all the time depicted in music videos. Celebrities sitting in bird cages like Taylor Swift or Britney Spears. It's not because they grew up and they wanted to be a caged bird. Okay, it represents mind control, that they're slaves to this system, that they're all a part of. And uncaged represents a trigger or activated victim of MK Ultra mind control programming, which is what he is representing with that album cover, Uncaged. So these are all just common things, right? A lot of these celebrities have songs about mirrors, broken glass, butterflies. We can go through this stuff day in and day out, as I've done over the years. This is all representation of MK Ultra mind control programming. All these celebrities go through this cycle, most of whom volunteer and do this for the chance at fame and fortune, not because they're better or more talented than you, because they're willing to sacrifice, as we always hear them say, they sacrifice to get where they're at. They're willing to sacrifice because they're so obsessed with fame and fortune. Some of them born into it, some of them come through, secret societies like Freemasonry, etc., and then network their way to the top, but of course make sacrifice along the way, as they always tell you. And what they're referencing really isn't just sacrificing themselves and their minds to become victims of mind control programming, but also human sacrifice, which seems to be connected to all of these celebrities as well. So the stuff out there about Zach Brown, it shouldn't surprise anybody, but people are, it's trending all over, and then you see Christians get mocked for it, because Christians are putting out, well, it's demonic, it's satanic. Well, first of all, anybody who's performing at the Sphere is going to be in the club, okay? Because you're not just going to have some random band performing at the Sphere. They built this as a weapon for mind control. The frequencies being used there are unimaginable. There's probably people walking out as I've mentioned in the past, there's people leaving Taylor Swift concerts who are reporting having to, not remembering the experience of even going to the concert, that they're leaving there like they had lobotomies, admitting to amnesia when leaving these performances because of the frequencies being used in them. The Travis Scott concert's another example of these people dropping dead because of the frequencies being used on them, of course, in mixing along with the graphene oxide that many of these people have injected in their bodies. But the Sphere is using frequencies that probably, if people understood frequencies, wouldn't be legal to use on their audience. And they're putting them through massive spell casting when they're going to these performances, through the imagery on the screen that's almost jumping out at them, along with the music and the lyrics, which are a form of witchcraft as well. But people have been indoctrinated and trained to think witchcraft isn't real, even though everywhere you turn, you have the Magic Kingdom, you have mention of magic in Disney, magic this, magic that. Every Disney movie is about magic in some way, shape, or form. Magic Rose, Magic Slipper, right? All the fairy tales about magic, even fairy tales about Hansel and Gretel, which reference witches, but you're told not to believe that witches and Satanists actually exist. So when you see something like this, they expect you to just point and go, look, it's satanic. There's a giant skeleton. And then it's easy for the Church of Satan and all these guys to come out and make us all look like fools and be like, it's not satanic. Oh, you want to see satanic? Go to Metallica or go to death metal bands or go to, go see Slipknot or someone like that. That's real Satanism. They're all satanic. They're all cultic. And he admits to it. This isn't some Halloween show. He openly says, Zach Brown, that the show is based on the tattoos that are on his body as part of the ritual, the bloodletting ritual of the tattoos in the body, which, of course, they've made normal. Celebrities through social engineering have made it normal to have tattoos, so then everybody gets tattoos, and that's how this whole system of indoctrination works. But he admitted that all the stuff you saw in the concert was a part of him. It wasn't just some Halloween theatrical show to make everybody out there go ooh and ah. All these guys are in the club, so snap out of it. Just if you think one of these characters like Taylor Swift is cookie cutter and clean, and you say, I'll let my kid watch Taylor Swift or listen to Taylor Swift because it's better than the alternative version, it's better than Marilyn Manson or somebody. No, it's not really. It's just a different form of spellcasting. They play the role of cookie cutter or Christian, and then they start to influence your child's behavior, right? What you see with people like Taylor Swift, love wins, and all this stuff about acceptance and tolerance. This is what they do. They just present it in a different way. But they all have the same message. That's why you see Satanists like Marilyn Manson even hold up the heart symbol. People would say, why are they holding up the heart symbol? They're supposed to be edgy and hardcore. Well, because the Antichrist comes in the name of love. So these guys play roles just like Zach Brown, no different. I thank everybody for being here. Again, if you want to see the videos on YouTube or on Dolly Parton or any of the other stuff that I mentioned, the star symbolism, they're all available on my website at callforanuprising.com. It's archived with thousands of videos. It is $2.99 a month to join the website, but I pay a lot of money so that I can have unlimited bandwidth over there. And I've continued to do this for the years. Most of you said I've been gone. I've never left. I've just been on different channels, different places. But if you have been gone for years, you want to catch up on all my content that you missed, it's all archived over there. So definitely check it out. Again, it's a callforanuprising.com. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.